Their names are Cameron and Spoon. They were out of the Portland, Oregon area, and they were avid homebrewers during that time. And so they always traveled around to the different Hawaii islands and noticed that there really wasn't much of a craft brew scene on any of the islands. And so what they did is they ended up falling in love with Kona. So in 1994, they bought this very plot of land to open Kona Brewing Company to start commercial brewing. So on Valentine's Day of 1995, they released their first commercial brew. It was known as the Pacific Golden Ale. A lot of you probably haven't heard that one before because it later got renamed to the Big Weight Golden Ale, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen in stores and on tap around different places. So from there, they noticed that their commercial brewing was going really well, and why people were trying it, they noticed that people were getting hungry by drinking it. And they figured, hey, what goes really well with beer is pizza. So two best friends on a plate. So they ended up opening this Kona Brew Pub here in 1998. And a fun thing about the Kona Brew Pub is it is a 4-star certified green restaurant. And what that means is we try to reuse, recycle, and reduce as much as possible. Just some of the examples is like the benches that some of you are sitting on, those are made out of recycled milk jugs. You'll notice some of these wine barrels sitting around. We do a barley wine, and what we do is we age the beer in wine barrels. They're only good for one use. So instead of throwing them away, we turn them into planters. You'll notice that we have some kegs over here. There are these planters. This bar top here is made out of recycled driftwood. So with the success of this pub in 1998, they decided to open a sister location in Oahu. In 2003, it's known as the Coco Marina Pub. It's a little bit different over there. They got TVs, it sits right on the water. It's got more of a sports bar feel to it. This one, our pub here, if you've been inside or not, you'll notice that there's no TVs in there. We like you to sit down and talk to each other, get to know one another here at the Kona Brew Pub. So from after 2003, in 2010, Kona Brewing Company joined the Craft Brew Alliance with Red Hook and Windmere. And what that Craft Brew Alliance did for us was able to put our beer in all 50 states and now in 24 countries. So Kona Brewing Company is a publicly traded company. It's under the NASDAQ under Brew, B-R-E-W. So if you want to be a part owner of this Kona Brewing Company, you can purchase stocks in it. All right, so that's it for history. So beer is the third most consumed beverage in the world, right behind tea and water. Water's number one. But the good thing is beer is made up around 90% water. Does anybody else know the 3 ingredients to go into it? You can shout them out. If not, I know so we're okay. Hops, malt, one more. Yeast. Exactly, yeah. So those 4 ingredients make up the alcohol. So right here, these 2 silos here with the big Kona brew stamp, this isn't just for your Instagram or Facebook. They actually serve a purpose here. Inside each silo is around 40,000 pounds of our 2-row premium malt. And so this is going to be the start and the base of our beer. So if you look through the bamboo here, you can see a white PVC pipe. And what's going to happen with those malts, at the bottom of the silo, there's a flex auger. And what the flex auger does is act like a reverse drill bit. And it's going to take all those malts, funnel them up through the white PVC pipe, and then it's going to go down into this dark green funnel that you can see behind me. And this is what's known as the malt hopper. And what the malt hopper does is act like a giant scale. It's going to weigh out all those malts. And this time too, we're going to add into any of our specialty malts, some of our toasted or roasted malts, that we're going to put in there for flavor and color. And from there, from the malt hopper, it's going to flow down into the light green machine with the owl on it. That's known as the miller. And what the miller does is it's like a rolling pin. So all those malts are going to flow through there, and the rolling pin's going to go over there, and it's going to slightly crack them open just to release the starches of those malts to get them going. And once it cracks it open, we have what's now known as grist. And we're going to follow the grist into the brewery, so we're going to go right over this way into the brewery. All right, so this is our KBC/NBA basketball court out here with this state-of-the-art basketball hoop. Just joking. Now this is our brew yard. Like I talked about being a green restaurant, behind you can notice the recycling center. It's not pretty, but it gets the job done. Like I said, we try to recycle everything. You'll notice there's a lot of kegs out here. Don't worry, these are all empty. They're just waiting to go inside and get cleaned and filled. We wouldn't leave our liquid aloha sitting out in the hot sun here. Behind you, this is our hop chill. This is where we keep all our different varieties of hops in there to keep them nice and fresh. And so they stay in the nice cool air there. So now we're gonna head into the brewery. There's no eating, drinking, or smoking inside the brewery. There's some yellow lines on the floor. Please stay inside the yellow lines. This is a working facility, so there might be some hoses on the ground. The floor might be a little wet, so just watch your step. Inside, you can take as many pictures as you want, but there is, please don't touch anything. So this is the brewery here. This is where all the magic happens in here. As you can see, it's not very big. They make it work. All right, so once we have those malts that have been cracked open, known as grist, what we're going to do is we're going to flow into the first vessel back there, all the way back by the window. That's known as the mash tun. So what's going to happen is they're going to put all that grist in there and then spray hot water over the top to make a porridge-like substance. And then they're going to create a false bottom. So kind of think of like a coffee filter for all that water to pass through those bolts. And at the end, we're going to have hot sugary water known as wort, W-O-R-T, which is going to be the root. It comes from an Old English word meaning root or base. So that's going to be the base of our beer. So once that water's passed through those malts, on top, what we're going to have left is known as spent grain. What we do with that spent grain is we take some of it and actually roll it into our pizza dough. But as you can see here, we make a lot more beer than pizza. So we take that other part of spent grain and we put it in barrels and we donate it to local cattle farmers for them to feed their livestock with. So once we have that hot sugary water, we're going to go into our next vessel coming in here. This is known as the brew kettle. This is where we're going to boil. And at this point too, we're going to add the hops. And the hops are going to add aroma, bitterness, and flavor to the beer. So we're going to put it in that kettle, brew it nice, boil it nice and hot until we release all the flavors that we want from those hops. So then in the next vessel coming up here, we're going to have the whirlpool. And the whirlpool is exactly like what it sounds like. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that hot, hoppy water and spray it in at an angle and create a whirlpool. If you've ever stirred a cup of loose leaf tea, you'll notice that all the particles tend to fall to the bottom. So that's what we're doing with that whirlpool right there, is we're clarifying the beer without really filtering it. We're just getting all those sediments that have been left over in the different stages to fall to the bottom. So we have a nice clear liquid. At this point too, we had a couple of adjuncts. If you've ever had our Kona IPA, which is our passion orange guava IPA, this is where we add that passion orange guava juice right into the beer there to really pick up on that flavor from there. So once we've had it in the whirlpool and it's got down to where they want it to clarify, the next step is what we're going to want to do is we're going to add yeast. But before we can add yeast, we want to create the ideal temperature for the beer to live in. So that for the yeast to live in. So we're going to go through this radiator looking machine here. That's going to be known as the heat exchange. So what we're going to have is the hot, hoppy water coming through one side and cold water coming from the other. And they're going to meet together to create the ideal temperature to be put into these big fermentation vessels here. Now you notice all these around. You notice on the side they're labeled. The FB just means what tank it is. But the BBL, that stands for barrels. So a typical batch of beer is going to be 25 barrels. And so in this 175, we can do 3 batches of the same beer, and they can ferment off each other all together at one time in this barrel of beer here. And at this point too, in these barrels, this is where we're going to add the yeast. So once we add the yeast, what it's going to do is it's going to run around like Pac-Man and eat up all the different sugars. And once it eats the sugars, you're going to get 2 byproducts from that. You're going to get alcohol and CO2. So at this point, we're going to have what's known as green beer. It's not quite beer yet, but it's pretty close. It just has to ferment for the right amount of time in order to create the beer we want to. Now, ales usually take around 2 to 3 weeks fermentation. Lager takes a little bit longer. They take around 4 weeks to ferment. So once they ferment in the appropriate amount of time, it's going to go to the next stage, which is going to be over here. I'm going to pass through, folks, real quick.